From baggage claim to pajamas in 10 minutes. Erie International Airport. Fly with ERI.com.
Fly Erie International Airport to Charlotte on American Airlines, your nonstop gateway to the world. Also, we have Breeze Airways flying nonstop to Orlando and Tampa, Florida. A great low-cost carrier providing excellent service to the regional community. Fly Erie International for your travel needs.
Fly with ERI.com.
All year round, Frontier Home Products and Design has what you need to make your home comfortable and beautiful. Relax on a new timber tech deck designed by Frontier's experts. A new fireplace from Frontier Home Products Fireplace Gallery adds warmth and serenity to any home. Beauty and versatility at Frontier Home Products and Design Center, 4213 Peachtree, 5th next to the Bayfront Highway.
Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Discover a new frontier.
PA contractor number PA 039007.
Welcome to TalkErie.com's Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast. Every day, we tackle the biggest issues that the Erie, PA region faces. Stay informed and involved as we advance the narrative of Erie. Now, here's Joel Natale.
It is the Joel Natale Show here, and we are glad to have with us in studio the CEO of the Erie Downtown Development Corporation, Mr. Drew Whiting. Drew, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Hey, Joel.
Good. What's going on? I mean, it's been 3 months since we were last had you here, and you just see things going and things moving along here. And so I'm going to do a block to block, but just overall, what are you feeling? How's the pace of change?
Well, we're feeling good. We have a lot of progress being made. We've got the holiday season upon us and a lot of really fun activities and an opportunity for people to come downtown that haven't been down here in a while. Compared with even last year, there's a lot more things going on here. So looking forward to getting the street lit up, to seeing the crowds come down, letting people experience some of the new amenities, entertainment options, food options, and shopping over the next few weeks.
I was going to say, you have now, it's been, 2 years since the food hall opened, correct?
Yep.
And so now you have 2 full years of data points here to see how the ebb and flow goes. Would you say that the winter months are your best months for, let's say, your downtown amenities?
Yeah, I think, there's trends that you'd expect, and then there's things that are just a little strange. August tends to be the biggest month of the year just because of Celebrate Erie.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, in the winter we do have some strong months, January, February, all the way through May, and then when students come back in September, we have a little bit of a surge there too from the Gannon students and others, and but we're showing growth and improvement over the course of each of those 2 years, and the months year over year. We're in pretty good shape, and we're pretty happy with how things are going.
Let's start with talking about the housing part, because this still seems to be the greatest shocker to the old-time Erieite is, that meme, nobody wants to live downtown. And then we go and talk to Ryan, and we say, how many apartments do you have available? And he says 2 out of 110, and you're like, holy smokes.
Yeah, that's accurate. And I think it shows that there is a desire to live where you work and live where there are things to do.
And you're not slashing prices. You're maintaining.
Correct. And keep in mind, too, this is like the front end of the rest of the development that's coming. So people want to live down here now, but there's going to be far more to do. There's going to be more cranes in the air. There's going to be more amenities being built, places to walk to in the next few years, too. So we don't see that slowing down. It's really encouraging to see, full occupancy and 108 market rate units that are, a lot of people didn't think we'd have a chance of filling that. When I showed up even 16 months ago, we were considering a master lease on 32 of them with an assisted living facility because we weren't sure if we were going to be able to rent them. Well, those apartments were full within 6 weeks of the building being open.
Oh my gosh.
So and to add to that, with Modern Tool apartments being renovated, and another 20 will be available over there that have been closed for years because it's been in disrepair. With the Avalon redevelopment by Good Homes out of New York City, that'll add almost 200 new one-bedroom apartments to downtown. And there are a few other buildings that are being fixed up, and that'll provide even more housing. So, yeah, we're really glad to see that our units have been absorbed, that we don't have vacancy. What we need to continue to do, though, is create more opportunities for people to work down here, more jobs that draw in young people, because they're ultimately the ones that want to live downtown.
Right.
And so that we can absorb the rest of those units. When you talk to some of these urban development and urban planning professionals, what they'll tell you is that early days when you start to build housing, there's always going to be this worry that you're not going to be able to fill the units. And so people stop building them. Meanwhile, economic development continues on, and 5, 7, 10 years down the road, you're out of affordable housing or accessible housing in your core. So the people that work there can't actually afford to live there because there's a ton of demand and not enough supply. So what we're doing right now, with the help of some of these workforce development bonds through the Erie County Redevelopment Authority, work with Tina Mangine, through out-of-town investors who have looked at Erie and said, look, this is a place where we believe there's going to be continued progress towards sustainable prosperity. We're going to be building a lot of housing units. We're lucky that we have strong local industry and companies that are providing employment to a lot of young people and people that want to live downtown, and universities. They're doing the same thing. If you look at what Barron and Gannon and Mercyhurst are doing to attract new research facilities and to bring in new companies, just in Knowledge Park alone and the IHAC Center, those are job generators, and not just any job. They're high quality, decent paying, decent wage, living wage jobs that will attract young people. And then our job, the way we view it, is that we're giving those young people a reason to want to come to Erie outside of the job. Look, I can live downtown, walk to the lake, have everything accessible to me, raise a family here. And I could do it all in the downtown. Don't have to feel like I left the big city to move into the suburb in Mill Creek like I gave something up. Like, you can still have that decent sized city experience with the amenities and the infrastructure we have here while you take the job that, utilizes your skill set. So it's all coming together. We're, like I said, this is a generational project, and the work that we're doing, we're still early. With the funding that we have coming to town, the organization of the city around a lot of prioritized efforts, there's nothing but cause for optimism from somebody on the inside of that where I sit. And, to those who actually come to town to look to see whether Erie is a place where they'd want to open up shop, they're seeing it too. And that's why you see all these new businesses hitting in Knowledge Park, and why you see Gannon growing, and other places that have the opportunity and the inside knowledge to invest are making those investments. We want to keep that going. So we're doing our part in all of that as well.
Talk about how it pencils out, because when I hear that you've got 95% occupancy, I'm thinking, hey, maybe that's making the numbers work, for the bean counters. Is that the case?
Yeah. So
I'm thinking about your board. Is your board happy?
Yeah. So our developments are all mixed use. So you have the residential and the commercial. Most of the commercial spaces were open well before the residential. And so our bean counters, as you refer to them, not thrilled with how things were going while we had some of our commercial spaces open, but not all of the residential. And keep in mind, 62 out of our 108 apartments were open in the last 14 months. So, we're still, 14 months ago, 2 months into when I started this job, we still had majority of our housing to open.
Right.
And we're in a much different place now. It's only 108 apartments, but that's increased density right on top of these businesses. And that's where we're starting to see the growth. And it's not just, it's not just those people adding to it. It's people getting used to coming back to the office. Across the board, it's people like to call it Erie Insurance for that, but
Right.
That's a movement that's happening everywhere, and I think people want to get together with others. I don't know, most people might have been like me, where I had enough of sitting in my basement by myself.
Right.
And also there's things to do down here. Like you open up a $20 million renovation to a world-class children's museum, a climbing gym, an indoor putt-putt facility. You've got a food hall, a lot of the other amenities that are downtown that people are starting to take advantage of. They all feed off of each other, because if you're coming down to hit the climbing gym, you might go shopping and you might go eat something. So you start to build that neighborhood and that culture and that third space for other people to consider a place where they'd want to go just hang out, even if there's no aim. If there isn't a direct objective when you head down there, you'll run into people and you'll find something to do. That's what successful urban environments and third spaces really are. That's what we're trying to foster and build. And when I look outside and see the beginnings of our holiday display on what we're calling the Miracle on State Street, it's extremely encouraging. And EDDC is going to get a lot of credit for that,
Right.
or whoever gets the credit. This entire thing was not my idea. Sure, we wanted to do it, but the drivers behind this were small business owners,
Right.
that are not even some are not even our tenants. We had the arrival of Copper Carriage to downtown.
Right.
They not only brought a really cool antique shop, but a lot of energy. And Stephanie and Emily George and folks at the Downtown Partnership came to us and said, I think this would be a really cool thing to do. And then we have groups, like Erie Federal Credit Union, who's downtown on the corner, starting to participate in those types of activities, along with our board members. And it's just a really cool thing when you see the wreaths on the windows and the lights going up and the different decor schemes and that kind of thing. Visually, that's appealing. I think it should give people a feeling of a community that's really working together to create a beautiful space for its inhabitants.
Yeah.
But when I see it, what I feel and what I see more is that you have a collaboration of people that aren't necessarily the ones that are getting all the credit for it, that aren't the ones that are getting interviewed on a radio show.
Right, yeah.
But it really is it's turning into a broader community effort that was sparked by just getting some things off the ground here.
Sure.
And that's only going to get better. So it's really, really encouraging, and it kind of fills me up every day. and you got to go and do the hard things. So yeah, I hope others feel the same way when they come down here. There's going to be some commercials airing on a few different TV stations. We're going to be advertising. Really, if you look, a lot of our inspiration was drawn from looking at pictures from the past. And you look at Erie and State Street from the early 1900s through 30, 40 years ago.
Sure.
The holiday season is packed with shoppers and people here to eat and drink and just hang out. And we want to bring that back. So we're doing what I think this year will be a prelude to a much larger effort in the coming years.
Okay.
With Christmas markets and other holiday activities for people with families and those who just want to come hang out and reminisce about what used to be and in the corner that we're turning heading forward.
Let me ask you one more question before we go to break about housing. You have 108 units right now. On this current plan, you're talking about doesn't the Gap building also have some apartments coming, Marlena Place and so on?
No, there will not be apartments there.
Okay.
That's going to be office space and more commercial retail with some public space mixed
So you're kind of have the residential thing done for now.
Well, let's look at it this way. We're not the only ones doing the work anymore.
Sure.
So when you have the developer of the Avalon, this Good Homes company out of New York, bringing 200 units onto the market, and you've got the person who brought the Renaissance also has another building that'll bring about 30 to 40 more units.
Okay.
And Modern Tool, both improving the stock that they have and adding more units to the market. You have to listen to demand, where it's coming from. And to me, it was, look, let's see how the market will absorb all of that's coming. So we just put 108 on the market. What I just described to you is potentially like another 240 units on top of that that don't exist today.
Yeah.
In the next year.
Gotcha.
So let's see how that goes.
Let's see how that shakes out, right, before we
And in the
start
meantime,
planning.
and I'm getting calls from out-of-town companies and maybe companies that are in the suburbs that want to have a presence downtown because that's where their younger employees live and they want to work. We're building Class A office space right on North Park Road that'll also have event space, that'll have room for a couple of restaurants and some shops as well. And I think that is part of the role that we have to play today. It's the holistic approach. You need to know what's going on around you. I need to be paying attention to everything from, 26th or 38th Street all the way to the water,
right,
from Mill Creek to Harbor Creek. Or if I'm not, we could build the wrong thing. We could be taking an approach that doesn't make any sense 2 years from now looking back. And ultimately, I think the decisions that we're making in collaboration with a lot of other leaders in the community will lead to the most efficient use of the capital that we have and the opportunity that we have in front of us as we continue to build.
Drew, you were talking about, the CRIZ, the City Revitalization and Improvement Zone, Investment Zone, whatever they call it. And, of course, everybody, Senator Laughlin, Mayor Schember, everybody's like waiting for this. In fact, I'm pretty sure that application is due this month, right? Is that
my understanding? Is the application was submitted?
It was
last month, I think.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. The people that worked on submitting that, long hours. Those with full-time jobs took on secondary full-time jobs to get that done for the betterment of our community. Yeah. Someday when the dust settles and everybody's happy to have that here, we can thank all of them.
Yeah. That could be close to $13 million a year of income.
It could be up to 15 a year.
Yeah.
And that can be leveraged to a larger number potentially. But if you think about what I'm sitting here for, which is this EDDC development, this EDDC project involved $27.5 million from Erie stakeholders to leverage towards $115 million worth of construction. So we're talking about a potential of a new EDDC scale project with just that 15, which really isn't 15. It could be leveraged to 10 times that amount.
Wow.
Every 2 years, we're going to be getting $30 million to work with within the city.
Wow.
That is a massive opportunity for our CRIZ authority to really put the pedal to the metal and accelerate the pace of progress and development in our downtown and around the neighborhoods, to address things like housing, infrastructure upgrades, to attract new businesses to town, and to make sure that our existing building stock that we have that probably need a good 50% of it needs to be gutted and rebuilt or torn down and rebuilt. That'll provide the capital needed to do that. There's other efforts in progress right now. The EDDC in the progress of setting up its own CDFI to help with real estate gap lending.
What's a CDFI?
Which is the Department of Treasury Community Development Finance Institution is what it stands for. It'll help us empower other developers to do work, that with CRIZ funding in addition. Potentially with an expansion of the properties in our city that have historic designations.
So you kind of see yourselves as also maybe being a catalyst or some kind of a service provider here?
Well, what we've become good at is developing in downtown, developing property and making sure that the occupants of that property are locally owned small businesses that will contribute to the economy instead of mining from it,
right,
to take those profits elsewhere. We intend to scale that effort, and there's a lot of resources coming our way over the next 5 to 10 years that are really going to help that. We're going from this position of having a bunch of key stakeholders pooling together what at the time was an unprecedented amount of money, in that close to $30 million, and saying, can we get these 3 blocks done? And now we're sitting here saying, can we get these 3 blocks stabilized and supported? I think we're going to be in a position a few years from now looking at, we need to have more projects ready to go, prioritized with shovels ready to go into the ground. And if you're going to take advantage of the capital that's going to be available to us, because if you don't use it, you lose it. So if you think about the scale of what that could bring to us over the next few decades, it should make everybody really optimistic about where we're headed, because right now we're sitting on depleted housing stock, commercial buildings in a state of decline that could be turned around. We just need to have developers that look at those and see them as financially viable projects. We can get there. Once that starts to churn, we start to understand how important some of these resources are that we have. I think we're going to be attracting developers from all over the place.
Wow.
And those who are here already doing the good work, they're going to be able to really expand their businesses. And that's what we are at the front end of right now, looking forward, knowing we need to get organized. We need to be talking to each other and making sure that we understand the needs of the community, not just the downtown business community, but the people in the neighborhoods and our schools and everything else, so that we are prioritizing properly for the best interests of everybody. So that's a big part of what a lot of the work that's going on amongst community stakeholders is right now. We're trying to shape the future of the city in a responsible, sustainable way.
I got like 30 seconds, but the concept of talking together, again, it goes beyond just economic development or just property, real estate development. It goes to education and job opportunities and workforce development, having the right people in the right places, who's on the bus, right? I mean,
and here's the deal, Joel. When you have a community that's conditioned for economic scarcity, which is what this community has been conditioned for the last few decades, and then you start to get to a point where there's abundance, people are all of a sudden willing to work together. You don't have this zero-sum mentality anymore. It's really fun to see that start to take shape.
Get paid to drive. Start a new career behind the wheel at the EMTA. If you are looking for a high-paying and rewarding career with full benefits and paid training, stop by or apply online today with the EMTA. Plus, EMTA riders can now enjoy free Wi-Fi on new, clean, and environmentally friendly buses to travel all over Erie County. Visit ridethee.com for more information.
Get on board EMTA. Get on board EMTA. Get
Quickfill gasoline is made right here in America. United Refining Company, who operates Quickfill, refines its gasoline from North American crude oil in Warren, Pennsylvania. When you buy United Refining Company gasoline at Quickfill, you keep jobs and businesses in America. And you keep American families strong. You don't need to send your money overseas when you buy gasoline. Buy American-made gasoline at Quickfill. Quickfill, driving America.
Here we are. We're sitting in the center of the universe here, and one of our favorite places to go is the Flagship City Food Hall. And last time you were on, you talked about that your role not only has been a landlord and provider of equipment and things, but you're also providing business advice. Are you starting to see green shoots in that latest development into your the businesses that are in the food hall there?
Yeah, we went through a pretty it was a tough kind of reorganization and stabilization exercise starting about this time last year. And we've gotten to a point where we have some solid businesses that are doing pretty well within the food hall that are where we can help with things we are, and we're starting to see some success. The numbers are proving it out.
Yeah.
We are going to be reopening a business that was in the food hall prior in a different location in there next week with Taste and See coming back. They're going to be bringing a salad bar and the smoothies and the wraps back for a little lighter, healthier options for those that want to grab their smoothie in the morning or have a lighter lunch. But part of the ability to bring back a business is that we're able to better set people up for success and provide resources and the opportunities needed for a small business to really take that next step. So, we look forward to the food hall continuing to be that proving ground for people that want to try out a food and beverage business within a relatively low risk or a shared risk environment. And, I think we'll continue to see regular turnover as designed. But we want to make sure that, most of that turnover is for positive reasons. So as we're going to, in our new flagship Commons development, which will sit between that and Country Fair, which is opening up on the other side of the gap where Coconut Joe's and the bus station once sat.
Right.
We're going to have 2 big restaurant spaces there.
Oh, okay.
And, the first people we're going to talk to are the more successful vendors within the food hall to say, hey, this is an opportunity for a larger footprint and bigger kitchen. And, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're trying to do is provide that, spectrum of opportunities for the tenants that come in and great space within which to do it. So right at the core of our city where we've got a parking garage and our public space and all these events happening on a regular basis, you have the shot to open your business, change your life and the life of your family if things go well. So we want to continue to see that.
So the idea would be that somebody could grow and get into that space. I mean, like when I go to the food hall these days, it's not quiet. No. Like I'm usually waiting. In fact, you get the sense that, if they could figure out a way to have the right number of people at the right times, and I think service would go faster, right?
And right now what we recommend actually, because it has become more busy at prime time, like lunch in particular, it's go online, order for pickup.
Okay.
We just launched a brand new website actually over the weekend where all of these kitchens have, you can order directly from each of their individual pages. You can order a bunch of things from the food hall from different places and pick them up as you get there, or you can have it delivered. But those are other options that we're trying to make things easier and make it so that they can generate more revenue through more turns and more service tickets, specifically during peak times. And lunch is the big one because people want to get in and get out.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we are in our footprint, we have space for 25 businesses. So from where I sit, our success hinges on the success of the businesses in those spaces.
Yeah.
In most cases, not all, but in most of the cases, our lease or license arrangements with our tenants have some sort of revenue share component on top of what would otherwise be a pretty low lease rate.
Mm-hmm.
So if the revenue model doesn't work and businesses aren't succeeding, neither do we.
Correct.
Our incentives are completely aligned. And that's how it should be, because we're an economic development or not-for-profit, which means that we want to make sure that our team is motivated to help their teams be successful. And when we bring people in, we want them to feel that. So when you talk about Ryan Hoover being, bringing the energy,
bringing the magic,
spirit and the magic, whatever you want to call it down here. I can't tell you how many times I've heard from our tenants how much they appreciate all the work that Ryan does for them to help them market their businesses, to activate their spaces, both at open, during different holiday times, during events, and our experienced staff, which makes sure that these places are clean and safe for everybody else in a part of town that was not clean and safe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference. So what we're looking to add to all of that, and what we're kind of doing on an ad hoc basis right now, but we're working with some other community philanthropic organizations and economic development organizations to fund some roles where people on a full-time basis will be able to lean in and actually get into the weeds with these business owners to help them tackle some of the problems that are keeping them up at night, whether that's early days, how do I design my logo and get my entity set up, or resolve an issue with a business partner, to how am I going to start to think about expansion, and what do I need for working capital if I want to move into a bigger space, and how do I apply for this grant or that loan. Those are the kinds of things where you need somebody that probably is or was an entrepreneur that knows what that fight looks like, and also has some technical experience and expertise to be able to step in and help. So that'll probably be the next that will be the next thing that we launch here over the next couple months. And I think that'll be just another boost to the ecosystem here.
Let's talk about Fifth and Peach.
Sure.
Because again, almost all of those apartments, if not all those apartments, are taken, but there is the retail space up below. Dave's Diner is going in. Can you tell us about what the plan is?
Yeah,
that
so,
you can say. Anyway?
Fifth Street in general should be one of the coolest areas in downtown. My long-term vision for that part of the street would be that it's brick paved or cobblestone paved from basically the Children's Museum all the way down to the start of Gannon's campus on Peach. And what we're working on right now is, we've got some construction to get done before we can get to that day a year or two from now. But on the corner of 5th and Peach, not only do we have Country Fair moving in early in this coming year in 25, which will bring in a lot of traffic and provide not just the standard grocery item or convenience items, but they're actually going to have like a pretty robust produce and meat section and dairy sections that, allow that business to fill the grocery need downtown.
But they're also doing their typical take and eat, right? I mean,
yep, they're going to have everything you're used to seeing in a country fair.
Yeah.
Plus, think like a small urban grocery.
Cool.
So you'll have everything you need to make a dinner. And, execute a recipe from whatever you're into. They'll also have some prepared meals for people, and I think that'll be a welcome addition downtown, both for habitual and just kind of like the grocery needs of people. The across the street, Dave's Diner is going to be opening up, and Dave's working through process of getting designs through BIU at the city, and we're going through some of the construction specifics, but that business will be open here in the first quarter of 25 as well. Right on the corner of 5th and Peach, bringing a beloved institution back to that part of town. I'm a big diner guy, so I know you want to find me, I'll probably be there a few days a week in the morning before work. And then as you work your way north on Peach, we're talking to a few other tenants that will fill in another 4,600 feet of commercial space where we already have a liquor license ready to be put to work there. We're looking at things like a cocktail and wine lounge with some karaoke rooms and a duck pin bowling alley with bar restaurant.
Again,
included.
Experiences,
things that will bring people downtown that are both fun for kids on a college campus, for families, and for adults that are maybe on a date night or want to go out for a late night. It's figuring out where our gaps are, what's needed, what would be a popular addition to the neighborhood. We want downtown to be thought of as the place you go to find something to do with your family.
Sure.
Because that's ultimately what will draw and continue to bring people down here. So, yeah, I mean, it's sitting here a year from now, we'll have 240 new apartments, hopefully mostly full by that point.
Right.
About 3-4 new businesses and construction underway on Flagship Commons, which will be vertical at that point.
Wow.
And it's I'm sitting here today. That to me is, as I say it, I start to sweat because of how much work that all means for our small team. But it's all very rewarding, and to see it actually come to fruition and to see people enjoying it more particular. Like Fall Fest this year, right around Halloween, come down here at 11 o'clock and all the vendors are set up and you've got Halloween decorations everywhere and there's the hay bales, and pretty soon like you find yourself like putting liners in trash cans and helping get stuff set up, and then there's a sidewalk full of strollers and there's a magic show going on in the corner and food halls full and kids are walking around trick-or-treating. And like, that is, you don't bring your kids down here in strollers if you don't feel like this is a place that's safe or welcoming or there's fun things to do. Those are the things that we look for, and it's hard to measure that. I can measure a lot of things like tax impact and real estate value increasing and those types of things that are measures of economic progress to the wonks, but community pride and people showing up is what it's really all about.
Talk a little bit about I'm sure there are people that are listening that probably they're successful business people, but maybe they've always had this side passion, in a retail or maybe in restaurant or hospitality or something. As you see it, are there gaps in our downtown that that we might see at Shadyside or in Swickley, just the two neighborhoods in Pittsburgh that points out? Are there things that, boy, if somebody wanted to kind of go all in and have fun, we could use X downtown?
I mean, the list is endless.
I mean, I'm thinking of like a bookstore. I don't know. Would that go? I mean,
I think a bookstore would work out well. There's, I was in Chagrin Falls last year.
Beautiful little place. Yeah.
And there's a glass blowing place with inside of a brewery, and there's a restaurant attached. I'm like, that's a thing to do while you're waiting for your seat, and then you can have a drink and you go sit down. Like, there's so many options. It's what we're trying to do right now is improve the real estate landscape so that there's space for those people to come into. Mm-hmm. Like right now, for instance, the Avalon redevelopment, UPMC in January 31st is going to open up 60 doctor's offices in that building. There will be 197 apartments available in April, May of this coming year. And there's still like 4 or 5 different retail spaces on the bottom floor of that building up for grabs. Somebody's got a side hustle and a passion. You got a built-in audience and foot traffic coming to that place already every day.
Yeah.
Downtown here, in a couple of years when we get that flagship Commons building open up, same thing there. If you look at Modern Tool's had about 40,000 square feet of empty commercial space for a number of years now.
I remember when it was an arcade, in the late 80s.
And that's going to be additional space
for
and opportunities for people in the not too distant future as that building gets redeveloped and improved. So if you're somebody that is looking to come downtown or just give something a shot, as part of our mission at the EDDC, our goal is, to boil it down, it's like improve the real estate so that people have an opportunity, and then drill down on the economic development mission, which is looking at anybody who has one of those ideas, who's got that side passion, saying to themselves, look, I think I could give this a shot. Wow. And we've got a space for you. So we want to talk to those types of people. And, if you go to our website, you can find, a place to indicate that interest, and we'll reach back out. At this point, I'm going to farmers markets all the time and showing up at different events and talking to these vendors that, prop up the table or the tent once a week or a couple times a week or a month. And I'm asking that question to them myself because I want to look, you're selling candles or, jam or, cookies, ice cream, whatever it is. If you're making bracelets or necklaces, maybe there's an opportunity for you here. Mm-hmm. And we've seen some success being able to bring some of those people down here, and we want to continue that.
I want to ask you about Hazards, the new mini golf, and it's more than mini golf. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so Hazards is going to be opening up at 419 State, I'm sorry, right across the street from the Ascend Climbing Gym in about a week.
Is that Bunnell building?
The Bunnell building, yeah. Okay. So if you know where the cashier's house bricks, it's the building right to the right of that. Mm-hmm. It'll be on the second floor. 18-hole mini golf course up there, which is taking shape now, is really cool.
That's wild.
They're not letting me share any pictures of it because they want people to come in without a plan.
Right.
But then they're going to have a full bar as well and some food available and some arcade games. So it'd be just a really fun place to come hang out, watch a game, bring the kids, go putt-putt, do it before or after date night, whatever. And if, do you want to go up to the cigar lounge afterwards, go for it.
Which is on the third floor.
On the third floor, right upstairs. Yeah. So it's Tony Arrigo from Beechwood Golf Course is one of the owners there, and Tom McQueenie, who's another local guy that is partners with Tony. Is running the place, and I've been watching the progress for the last year plus, and I'm really excited for everybody else to see it too. It's going to be a really cool amenity for downtown.
Again, when you talk to fellows like that who have had success in the county, in the suburbs, and they say, we want to be on State Street. Again, you know, it's a pretty big gamble because 7 years ago, none of this existed. What are their thoughts? What are they thinking? They're bullish on who's behind the EDDC and guys like you?
Every entrepreneur is a little crazy. So that's always part of it. Risk taking is part of the deal. But yeah, no, I think like I did when I came here 3 years ago almost now, which is hard to believe. You can see and feel the momentum, and there is an uptick in spend and commerce down here that it's measurable and observable, and I think that's a big piece of it. And we can show them numbers of those who have come down here, and we can show them the growth. It's not me trying to sell you a bag of goods. I can actually show you the data.
Yeah,
and that is a driver. And on top of that, it's, you know, we're giving people a shared risk scenario within which to operate. And oftentimes that's a better deal than you could find out at the mall at Mill Creek or whatever the case may be. So
they're able to scale their growth.
Yep. And they know they're going to have support, not somebody just coming to them with an invoice for rent every month.
Yeah. Biggest obstacles. What are you facing right now? And what do you think that the market is facing?
So the biggest obstacle is really, it's a macro deal. We have, we're building a market. We're not just like putting buildings up and putting business. We are taking what was a really rough part of town,
Skid Row,
in the region, in very bad shape, and trying to turn it around in a very short period of time and build a market around it. And not only that, but change people's view of, perspective towards, behaviors around coming to downtown. That is not a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year project. That's going to take time. So as that progress continues to be made, as we add more density with residents downtown, as we address the needs of office space so we can attract new businesses and increase foot traffic that way, and new developers take on new projects and start to create more housing and other business opportunities, we're going to see that improve over time. In the present, you have, in our footprint alone, you have 25 spaces that are commercial space for business. And, you know, it's early days. Like the food hall opened 2 years ago and there was like 26 apartments. Pretty tough to sustain a food hall, 26 apartments, counting on other people to show up, and then the pandemic hit. So the effects of the pandemic, that was right around that time. So we are early days of setting up a marketplace, and our eyes are wide open. We are extremely lucky to have patient stakeholders. It's a benefit that all of this is an opportunity zone project, which has a 10-year horizon on its own.
Right.
But that means every day when we show up, when people ask me, well, how are things going? The answer is that it's a work in progress. There are certain businesses and certain things that we are doing that are going really, really well. Every day there are things that we need to address. There are problems that we're working to solve. And it's not all pretty. So, you know, to give you it's not a very straightforward, simple answer to your question, because the answer is not straightforward and simple. That being said, I gave you a lot of reasons for optimism earlier too, and that all holds true. I think we are looking forward to continued growth, and it's a very exciting place to be right now. It's going to be even better a few years from now.
What I see is we're starting to develop, like you mentioned earlier, this concept of synergy, and I've got tickets to the Phil. What can I surround tickets to the Phil with? Stopping at Bricks, or, having something at the food hall, or going to Voodoo, or, you just start building things around, a moment. We're going to go to the ball game. What do we want to do before the ball game? Otters game, so on.
Yep.
Again, the actualization of the space.
Yeah, no, that's it. And on top of that, it's building community.
Yeah.
So who makes up that community, and how do we make sure that we're catering to their demand? And but when it works, and we're starting to see it work, and you're right. It's moments that you notice the things that are going well and that might need some improvement. But the moments that are going well are starting to overtake the others slowly, and that is the sign of progress. So when I tell people it's a work in progress, but we're going in the right direction, sometimes it is a 3 steps forward, 2 steps back type of deal. But most hard things are. So that's where we are today.
We're going to leave it there. Drew Whiting, the CEO of the Erie Downtown Development Corporation, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Joel.
You've been listening to The Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast from TalkErie.com. Subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher and get involved by emailing joel@TalkErie.com.